Today's Gemara in Yoma Daf Samoch Tes. We're learning Shvius Chutz for Shleima. For a man of a big Chaim, Yisrael Shalom Stephen raises the Sorbas Canada, the Basim of Chai Say Shalom, and the latest parents of Revelation must not be which have figured Shechan of Shmuel, and Tia Dinam, and Chan Rizim, and Chaim, and the Rachos of Musa, the end of which in Windel Stephen, figure of him, the Chal Shivin, the Lehum, and Rivka was the Shav, and Naftali Shivin, and Michal Esther, Besai Shachali Yisrael, as well as Chashirach for Yisachim, and Tavayra, and Natalia Bas Ita. We pick it up in the top of Samoch Tes Amid Aleph, and we're in the middle of a discussion. We started the discussion yesterday's daf, and we're going to continue in a big chunk of today's daf. Are the Kohanim allowed to get benefit from their priestly clothing? Are they nitna lihanes behen or not? So we started yesterday potentially bringing rayas that they could eat, they could walk in them, and we concluded that the chiddush of the Mishnah is that they could fold them up and put it onto their head. And now the Gemara is going to go specifically straight into the case that we finished off with yesterday. Says the Gemara, two lines from the top. They could fold it up and put it underneath their head. Says the Gemara, Shmas mina, big they couldn't on his bayhem. For the fact that you're allowed to sleep on them. It's your pillow. Of course your pillow is called Anah. That itself is reason showing us that you're allowed to get benefit from the clothing. No, it doesn't mean under their head. It means next to their head, so we don't necessarily have a raya that you're getting benefit from the clothing. We do have a raya too. Tefillin that we think of your tefillin, you're allowed to sleep with the tefillin right next to your head, and you're not worried that you might roll over and cause the tefillin to have a bizayin. From the fact, by us, you're allowed to put your big dekuna next to your pillow, and we're obviously not worried you're going to roll over onto them. And the Gemara now explains, this is logical. They can negate Roisheim. Why? If it was underneath your head, ooh, we have a kalayim issue. Because we know the big dekuna had the belt, which was kalayim. So if it was going under your head, why don't we say the fact you're being over on kalayim from benefiting from kalayim? Says the Gemara, 1 second. Hey, Nami, what's going on over here? Very good that you're going to tell me that you're allowed to get benefit from the big dekuna, but ask the Gemara, but are you allowed to get benefit from the kilayim? But it should be also because you ain't benefit from kilayim. Says the Gemara, fundamental machlekes that we had very in the beginning of the Masechta. What was the belt made out of? Was it really kilayim? Says the Gemara, 10 lines down. Then it makes a lot of sense. Because then it means that there is a problem of the kalayim. Because, again, no, the opposite. If you hold that the avnei of the Kohen Gadol is the same thing as the avnei of everyone else, then it was made only out of linen, and it was not kalayim, and therefore putting it under his head would show us nothing. It was different. It was yes kalayim. It was yes made out of wool and linen. How are you allowed to put the kalayim? How are you allowed to put the big dekuna underneath your head to use it as a pillow? Excuse me, a pillow. Maybe this is a kalayim din. Maybe. So yes, the Gemara. Maybe kalayim is only usher to wear it, but behatzah to spread it out and lie upon it is mutter. But it's not true. We learned in a brayso, lo yalu alecha. Kalayim should not come upon you, which we learned from there. Avlata motor. Lo yitzia tachtecha. You're allowed to put underneath you. Avlamruchacha mi maser lasas came. You know why? Shematichrach nima achas al besarai. Maybe one thread will come intertwined in your skin, which will be called ki'ilu as if you're wearing it. Therefore, you cannot even lie on top of them. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Maybe you'll tell me the Maybe you'll tell me that there's something separating between you and the kalayim. You'll put something between you and the pillow. Even if you have 10 beds and the bottom one is the kalayim, this is the princess and the pea. You got that one little pea on the bottom. bottom, you feel it all the way on top. If 10 beds, the bottom one is Klein, is Aser Lishan Alehem, because the ghost travels all the way up. Elalav Shmamina, says the Gemara, Keneged Reishem Shmamina. The case must be that you put it next to the person's head, and therefore would be a raya about the tefillin, but not necessarily are you getting benefit, are you sleeping directly on the big day kahuna. Rav Ashi Amar explains Rav Ashi, no. Lo'ilam tachas r'sheim, really, I'll tell you, we put it underneath his head. V'kamisani miklayim. You're going to ask me, but you're getting benefit, you're sleeping, you're lying down on kalayim. Big day kuna kashanein explains Rav Ashi, a fundamental idea on kalayim. Kalayim is only if you're wearing something, if you're wearing it, clothing. But if it's a hard item, says Rav Ashi, you will never have an isser kalayim. Ki hadam Ravuna Breder Yeshua, I nimda. Gamda de Narish Sharia. If you have a hard felt from a place called Narish, is mutter because it's not called a din of clothing, therefore it's not a problem, so you would yes be allowed to lie upon it. Says the Gemara Tashema, let's try to bring a different raya. Big day kuna yotzeben lemedina aser. Big day kuna to wear them outside of the Beis Hamikdash is aser. Uben mikdash. Bein b'shas avodah, bein shloi b'shas avodah mutter. But the Beis Hamikdash you wear whenever you want. Says the Gemara, why? And they should big day kuna ninalon is bam. Explicit in the brisa. You can yes get benefit from it. Shma mina, a beautiful raya. Says the Gemara. Beautiful raya. Ubi Medina lie. Then why can't you wear it outside the Beis Hamikdash? Vatanya b'eser v'chamish b'teves. Now we're going to have a pretty big, lengthy story. On the 25th of Teves, Yoma Har Grizim was the day that they called the day of Har Grizim. Claim this side, you didn't actually paid them on this day because of a miracle that occurred, as we'll see right now. This is the day that the Kuthims convinced Alexander the Great to take the Beis Hamikdash. Alexandria's Moikdan Lachriva to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, excuse me. They came and they told Shimon HaTzadik, the beginning of the second Beis Hamikdash, the end of the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, they said Shimon HaTzadik. They gave the Beis Hamikdash to be destroyed to Alexander the Great. Also, what did Shimon HaTzadik do? Lavish big day kuna. He put on the big day kuna. V'nezate big day kuna, and he wrapped himself in big day kuna. Excuse me. Umakiri Yisrael and the prestigious members of Concise went with him. They're holding torches. The entire night, Shimon HaTzadik and all the Talmidei Chacham were traveling from this side. Alexander the Great and all his men were traveling on the other side. Showdown time. Until Shimon HaShachar comes, Alexander says, who are you? Halt! Amr Lahem, Yehudim, we are Jews. Shemardu bekach, bach. Listen, they saw Shimon HaTzadik. What did Alexander the Great, conqueror of almost the whole world? What does he do when he sees Shimon HaTzadik? Yarad mi merkavta, he gets off his high horse. V'ishtachava lefanov, and he bounds to Shimon HaTzadik. Amrullah, melech gadol k'maischa. Yishtachva Yehudi zeh. They said, Alexander, you're such a great king. You're going to bow down to this lowly Jew. Amr Lahem, Alexander the Great responded, the most there was a figure of this person of Shimon HaTzadik, whenever I went to war, there was a pristine and priestly figure, image I always used to see, and it was that man! It was Shimon HaTzadik, so how could I not bow down to him? Amr Lahem, so now after we got over the pleasantries, Lama Basem, what are you doing here? Amru Efshish Abesim, Malam Boy Alecha, Vama Chuscha Shlot Charik. So Shimon HaTzadik responded, is it possible that a house that we sit and daven for you and your kingdom not to be destroyed? Now you're going to destroy it. Amr Lahem, Alexander responds, Mi alalu, what are you talking about? Amrullah, so Shimon HaTzadik says, Kudim alalu. These Kudim shamdul vanecha, they're convinced you to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. Amr Lahem, Alexander says to Shimon HaTzadik, Harehei Misurim biyadchem, they're yours. Take the kusim and do what you want with them. Miyad nikvam bakvehem. They made a hole in the heels of the kusim, v'talim biznave esusehem, and they attached them to the horses. They were dragging them on thorns. Until they reached Har Grizim. Har Grizim are thorns and thistles. Har Grizim was a place that the Kusim made their own Beis Hamikdash, their own temple, and when they reached there, Har Grizim, they destroyed The whole Argrizim, they plowed it over and they planted it with karshinim, with animal food. Like they wanted to do, God forbid, to the Beis Hamikdash. Also, Yontif, they made it into Yontif. So after a whole lengthy story, what's the point of this story? That we see Shimon HaTzadik wore the big Dekuna even outside the Beis Hamikdash. We wanted it out so that maybe you could wear it around the Beis Hamikdash. We see from here, you even wore it outside. Answers the Gemara, Yibayisema, Ru'uyin lebig Dekuna, Yibayisema, Sas Hashem, a favorite Teresecha. Says the Gemara, two truths. To me, there wasn't really big Dekuna. It was clothing that could have been big Dekuna. Teres number one. Says the Gemara, Teres number two. That was an Eis Lahasais, the entire Klal could have been destroyed. That's the reason why he was allowed to do it, but not necessarily as a raya from here. Chazan HaKnesses says, no, he tells Sefer Torah. So he said that the Chazan takes the Sefer Torah and gives it over to the elder, who then gives it over to the Kohen Gadol. Says the Gemara, Shema Mina, Cholkin Kavoy, the Talmud, Makam Rav, that you give honor to the Talmud in front of the Rebbe. And that's why they passed the Sefer Torah all the way down. Everything was a way to show more Kavoy to the Kohen Gadol, pass it up and up and up till you got to the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol I made, and we said the Kohen Gadol stands up and accepts the Torah. Says the Gemara Mechlal, Shu Yosef. From the fact he stood up, must be he was sitting. Says the Gemara, he was sitting, really. But we learned turning over to Zamach Tasim and Beis. Ein yeshiva ba'azar, you're not allowed to sit in the azara. El malchib David bilvad. Achos beis David bilvad, only the kingdom David's. How is Shimon HaTzadik sitting in the Azara? This is an idea that we touched upon all the way back at the beginning of the Masechta, when we said that he slept for 7 days. In 7 days for preparation for Yom Kippur, and we asked the question, but how did he sit down? We said maybe he was in an area that didn't have the same level of Kedusha, as we'll see right now. Shenamar says the Gemara of Yavai Melech David v'yishal lefanei Hashem. The people from David, he could sit in front of Hashem. He Rav Chisda Bezos Nashim, who's in the Ezaz Nashim, Al-Chanam Bezos Nashim. That's the reason why the Kohen Gadol was allowed to sit down. But says the Gemara of Rav Chisda, where was this din? Or Rav Chisda said that was in the Ezaz Nashim. Excuse me. Excuse me. In the following case, Meisvei, Titania. Now, as you see, that's a little bit weird. Usually you either have Titania or Meisvei. Different gersais, exactly what to do with these words. But either way, it says the Gemara, where would they read for the Torah? In the Azara. And Rav Elazar ben Yaakov Aimer, and they would read it lefnei achayre arachov, before the plaza shalefnei sharamai, in the front of the water gate. So what do we see that the Tanakama holds? That was read in Ezras Nashim. That's going to be the din of Rav Chisda that we're dealing in Ezras Nashim. Amar Rav Chisda says the Gemara wasn't Stam the Azara, but rather it was Ezras Nashim, and that's why the Kohen Gadol was allowed to be sitting, but he just stood up to accept the Torah. Says the Gemara Vayivarich Ezra as Hashem Elokim HaGadol. Another pasuk in Nehemiah says the Gemara in Nehemiah, and excuse me, Ezra, blessed Hashem, the great God. My Gadol was mean Gadol. Amarav Yosef Amarav Shegiloi B'Shem HaMaforash. He blessed Hashem with the ineffable name, the explicit name of Hashem, whether it was Yudke Vavke or one of the other names. Rav Gidol Amar Baruch Hashem L'Kei Yisam Raylam V'Raylam. That was the bracha that he said, a special bracha only to be said in the Beis Hamikdash. Amle'abayo Rav Dimi V'Dama Shegiloi B'Shem HaMaforash. Maybe what's going on over here that he said the Shem HaMaforash. Why are you telling me that he said Baruch Hashem L'Olam Amen V'Amin Amrlei Ein Amrim Shaim Mefurish Be'Gvulan. No, they would not see the Shem Mefurish and Gvulan only in the original Beis HaMikdash, and that's why they did not see the Shema Mefurish by Ezra. V'loi, asked the Gemara, is that true? V'aksiv yisrael na'pasav yamid Ezra Sefer al Migdal Eitz asher asu l'davar. V'omer Rav Gidol shegidlo b'Shema Mefurish. So what does it mean that he stood on this Migdal Eitz? Means he was Gidal, he was brought up with the Shem Hame Furish. So we see that they did see the Shema Mefurish even in the outside of the Azara. Answers the Gemara, Rashi, so that was a special time, a special dispensation to say the Shem Hashem. Vayetaku, and they cried out al Hashem Elokim, and they cried out to Hashem their God. They called God with a great voice. My Oimer, says the Gemara, what do they say to Hashem? Amar Ravi Temer Rav Yechlan, Baye, Baye. They cried out and they said, whoa, whoa, because of the Avodah Zarah. Very, very famous Gemara right now. Hainu Haidar Chavei L'Mikdash. Says the Gemara, this is the one that destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, the Yitzhahara, for Avodah Zarah, V'kali le'chala, and they burned it in the sanctuary, V'katlino le'kulai, Sadike, and he killed all the righteous one due to its destruction. Vaglinali Israel, but it was revealed to Klal Yisrael me'areyan and brought them back from their exile. Va'adayim me'rakid beinon. It says the Gemara still dances among us. Kulam yahavtin lan. Did you give it any reason? Ella. The only reason why the Yitzhara was given was to give us reward. It's something we have to always try to remember in difficult times. The Yitzhara is there for our good, to give us rewards. We cannot succumb, and we could prevail over the temptations. Lo iu binan, says the Gemara. We don't want this. We don't want the Yitzhara. Lo agri binan, and we don't want the reward. Says the Gemara that these Talmidim are sitting there saying it's too much. Nafalu petka merkai davikasebe ms. A pet that came from Shemayim. They said it was written MS. It's true, your desire to not have the Yetzer Hara. Amar Rav Chanina Shmamina. Says Rav Chanina, from here we learn interjection. Chais Maishal Kadosh Baruch Hu MS. We see what fell down was the sign of Hashem, was the Chais, and the seal of God is MS. Says the Gemara, back to the story. So again, we have the Yitzhara for our Avodah Zarah was so strong. They said they fasted 3 days and 3 nights Masrua Nialei, and after fasting for 3 days and 3 nights, the Yitzhara for Avodah Zarah was given to them, was given to these Talmidei Chachamim to take care of it. Nafak Asa. They went out. And what do they see? Like a fiery lion coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which obviously was the Yitzhara himself for Avodah Zarah. Amalu Navi Israel. So the Navi said to Klal Yisrael, to the Yisrael that were there, Hainu Yitzhar that was Chavim. That's the Yitzhar but it's Chavim. Shenemar v'yemer zoyzar Risha b'hadid Risha b'hadid tafsasualei. As they were grabbing hold of it, ishtamit b'nasa mimazeh. What happened? One hair fell off of the lion's mane. One hair, which is what always would cause some issues forever and ever. To hear the cry of the Yitzhara for 400 parsais. Excuse me. Amru, they said, what should we do with this Yitzhara? Excuse me, Amru, what should we do with this burning lion? What should we do? We want to get rid of the Yitzhara. Said, maybe Hashem is going to have mercy on it. Amru, they said, throw this Yitzhara into a lead. Beduda da'avra, into a lead cauldron. V'chafua lepume, and cover up its mouth. Be'evra da'avra, and cover it up. Be'evra with lead. Da'avra mishev shayiv kala, because lead absorbs sound, and if sitting inside this lead box, the cries of the Yitzhara will not be able to get out. Shenamar v'yemer zoyzar Risha v'yishlach chaysal teicha efa, and they threw it inside the Efa v'yishlach es even afaris alpia, and they put the lead stone on its mouth to contain the Yitzhara, to make sure they would not hear the cries. Amru, so the Anshei Knesset said, they said, this is great. We killed the Yitzhara by the Zara. He said, you know what we should do now? Let's get rid of all the Yitzhara. Let's get rid of the Yitzhara for immorality. Let's get rid of the Yitzhara for arayis. They davened and they got the Yitzhara for arayis. Amar lo chazi digatli tulei. The Yitzhara said to them, look what's going to happen. Don't kill me. If you kill me, look what's going to happen. Excuse me. Look what's going to happen if you kill me. So what do? So he did instead was, excuse me, one more time, let's do that right. If you kill that, referring to the Yitzhara for arayis, the world will be destroyed. So so they captured the Yitzhara for arayis for 3 days. And you know what happened in those 3 days? The Bas Yoma b'chol Eretz Yisrael, and there was not one freshly laid egg in all of Eretz Yisrael. They couldn't even find one egg. There was no desire at all for relations. Even the eggs that were previously created did not come to fruition, because there was no desire for procreation between spouses, between husband and wife, and even between the animals. He said, what should we do? If we destroy it, what's going to happen? There'll be no more children. No husband and wife is going to live together. So what's going to happen? The whole world will be destroyed. So he said, so no, we should do. We should daven for half of the Yitzhara. At least it should be minimized. Said the Gemara, no, but in heaven it doesn't work such a thing. They don't give you halves. So what do? They blinded the Yitzhahara v'shavkua, and then they left it. V'hanis, what helped to blind the Yitzhahara? It helped that one does not want, there's no temptation at all for one's own karayvim, for one's own relatives, which refers to mother, sister, etc. In the West, they said the following: Rav Gidel Amar Gadol shegadol b'shem Fayrosh. We're redoing the previous story that Rav Gidel says. What does the pasuk mean? Gadol. It means that they made Hashem's name with the Shem Fayrosh. Rav Masna Amar Hakel Gadol Akiper V'Noira. That's how we daven. Rav Masna Matye. It says the Gemara. The Rav Yeshua ben Levi Ramasna went with the opinion of Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Rav Yeshua ben Levi why were they called that? Fundamental shayla. We all know that. Why were they called that? They returned the crown to its glory. Why? Yirmiyah said, I don't understand. They're coming and they're destroying the Beis Hamikdash. Says Yirmiyah. They're creaking into the Beis Hamikdash. Where's the Naira? Where's the awesome display of God? So they said in the times of Yirmiyah, we can't say Naira in our davening. The Kayim are putting us into subjugation. Where's the Kavura of Hashem? They didn't say Kibur. But the said, no, you got it all wrong. Zui Gvura, this is the greatness of Hashem. Gvurasai, what's his greatness? Sheikaivish is Yitzroy Shenasan Erchabayim the Rashayim. Hashem conquers his Yitz, or whatever that means, and he gives Erech Habayim. He doesn't destroy the Rashayim. Veilu hey Noiraisav Shalmali Meir Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hey Chuma Achas Yichol Iskayim Hashem judges properly. No nation will be able to live. Beinu Umais, and therefore that's what Achines said. Say Akel Agod Lakibar Vanaira. Because that's the ultimate greatness of Hashem, is that He doesn't destroy us. He sees us doing Averos and He still lets us live. For Rabbanan Echi Avdi Achi Vekri Tekante Takin Moshe, according to Rabbanan, how they uproot words. They don't say Naira. What do you mean Moshe Rabbeinu said it? They didn't find to be appropriate to see something they felt was not since about Hashem that is truthful. Hashem only wants MS. They couldn't say anything, even though Moshe Rabbeinu said it. They felt it was inappropriate. We learned some fascinating Gemaras. We're going to stop over here. We learned how they destroyed the Yitzhar for Avodah Zarah, how they tried to destroy the Yitzhar for Arayis, but they wrote the world and not destroy last, and how we say Akel HaGadol HaGibram Neiro was the creation of that Shekhnesa Gedela. A fascinating creation, honing in on the details, similar to what we find as we're almost at the 3 weeks that Hashem to get his wrath on the sticks and stones. At some level, it was good that he destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, because if not, he would have destroyed us. So do we see over here that this is the greatness, and that's what we always, when forever, will say, ascribing greatness to God for not destroying us. We'll pick it up from here tomorrow.